Why are smarter people more likely to choose suicide? Psychologists conducted a cruel experiment tracking 1,528 gifted children for 80 years. They found that the higher a person's IQ, the deeper their confusion about the meaning of life. Those who never pondered this question lived longer and happier lives. More strangely, when scientists scanned the brains of dying individuals with brainwaves, they discovered a phenomenon that overturned previous understanding. In the last 7 seconds before death, the brain frantically releases DMT, a substance that makes you experience all the important memories of your life within those 7 seconds. And in those 7 seconds, no one thinks about how much money they made, no one regrets not buying a bigger house. What flashes through their minds are all those seemingly meaningless moments, a hug, a big laugh, a run in the rain. What does this mean? The answer you are desperately seeking, the ultimate meaning you believe will complete your life, might have been a deception from the start, while the real answer has always been hidden in the places you overlook every day. I was once tormented by this question to the point of sleeplessness until one late night I stumbled upon an animation. After watching it, I sat in the dark for a full 2 hours. Not because the plot was particularly thrilling, but because it was like a knife, precisely cutting open the wound in my heart that I dared not touch. Let me ask you a question first. If you knew you were certain to die, would you choose to quietly wait for death or do something meaningless at the last moment? Type your answer in the comment section. After watching this video, you might change your mind. The protagonists of the story are two unnamed explorers. No one knows where they came from or where they are going, only that they have traveled for a very long time, long enough for their clothes to be tattered and their bodies scarred. When they finally reach the end of their journey, they are not greeted with flowers and applause, but with an insurmountable chasm. What kind of fissure is that? Wide enough that you can't see the other side, deep enough that you can't see the bottom. Standing at the edge and looking down, even the sound of the wind seems like a howl from hell. What would you do? Most people would choose to turn back, as the way back, though difficult, at least offers a chance of survival. But the black-haired explorer did something no one expected. He walked towards the broken bridge. Yes, the kind of rotten wood that would fall apart with a gust of wind. The moment he stepped on it, everyone's hearts were in their throats, but the plank didn't break. That single step changed everything. He turned back to look at his companion, said nothing, but there was something almost crazy in his eyes. At that moment, a silent agreement was reached between them. They were going to build a path to the other side in this place everyone deemed impossible. You might say this isn't bravery, it's foolishness. Without tools, without materials, without anyone to help, how could they? But they didn't care about that. They started searching everywhere for usable things. Scattered wood pieces, abandoned stones, even tearing their own clothes to use as ropes. Every day, they worked from sunrise to sunset. When their hands were worn out, they used dirt to stop the bleeding and kept going. This scene happened to be seen by a child from the village at the foot of the mountain. She was a little girl with bright eyes who would secretly climb up the hillside every day and crouch behind a rock to watch. As she looked at the two figures busy at the edge of the cliff, an indescribable feeling welled up in her heart. She wanted to help, but she was too young to do anything, and the adults in the village, they gathered together, pointing and gossiping, betting on how many days these two outsiders could last. Some said 3 days, some said a week, and others laughed, saying, wait to collect the bodies. Not a single person was willing to lend a hand. This reminds me of many moments in real life when you decide to do something others don't understand. What often greets you is not support, but endless ridicule and cold stares. But true strength never needs an audience's applause. Day by day, that seemingly absurd bridge actually began to take shape. It was crooked and wobbly, but it truly existed, truly extending towards the other side. Finally, one day, they built the bridge to a large rock in the middle of the abyss. The blonde-haired adventurer was trembling with excitement, and he pulled out an old gun from his bag and fired it into the sky. Bang! Brilliant flames streaked across the sky, exploding in everyone's view. At that moment, the entire village fell silent and no one laughed anymore. For the first time, complex expressions appeared on the faces that once mocked and ridiculed, while the little girl was already in tears of excitement. She knew they were about to succeed, but fate never lets people succeed easily. Just when everyone thought victory was in sight, dark clouds gathered on the horizon. It was a nightmare storm the locals spoke of, coming only once every few years, leaving nothing alive in its path. The villagers frantically fled to safety, but those two, they stood on the bridge that could be blown away at any moment and made a decision that left everyone speechless. They hoisted a sail on the bridge. You read that right, a sail. They wanted to catch the wind. The moment the gale hit, the entire bridge shook violently like a frightened bird. Everyone thought it was over, but the blonde adventurer, the explorer, chopped the hemp rope tying the sail with an axe, and the entire bridge soared into the air like an arrow, shooting straight towards the opposite bank. The two of them ran desperately on the violently shaking bridge. The other side was right in front of them, just a few more steps to reach their dream. However, in the next second, a white light tore through the sky, striking the bridge directly, and flames instantly engulfed everything. The ropes fixed on this side of the cliff began to snap one by one, and the bridge was rapidly falling, about to plunge into the abyss. The little girl rushed out from her hiding place. She didn't care about being scared and grabbed the rope on the ground, pulling it back, trying to use her insignificant strength to hold onto the bridge that was about to disappear. But she was too small. Her feet left long marks on the ground and she was almost dragged into the abyss. Just when she thought it was all over, a pair of rough hands grasped the rope. It was her father, then the village chief, the neighbors, those who once watched indifferently. They ran from all directions, one after another, grabbing the rope, anchoring themselves to the ground. The bridge steadied. The black-haired explorer seized this last chance, kicked off with both legs, soared into the air, and landed steadily on the other side. He did it. He turned around, reached out his hand, waiting to pull his companion over. But the blonde-haired adventurer didn't take that hand, because at that moment, the bridge completely broke. He was hanging in the air with a deep abyss below, villagers desperately pulling the rope behind him, and his companion's despairing eyes in front of him. He knew there was no chance of survival, but he smiled. He let go of the rope and allowed himself to fall. As he was falling, he did one last thing in his life. He raised the gun, aimed at the dark sky, and pulled the trigger. A firework bloomed in the storm, more brilliant than ever. The villagers saw the firework and erupted in thunderous cheers, thinking it was a signal of victory. Believing both had succeeded, they hugged, celebrated, their eyes full of hope for the future. Only the dark-haired adventurer knew the truth. He knelt on the land across the chasm, looking at the abyss, unable to stop crying. That firework was the blonde adventurer's last gift to the world. Not a farewell, not a cry for help, but a silent declaration. We did it. There is a path ahead. With his death, he planted the seed of hope for everyone. Now let's return to the initial question. What is the meaning of life? After watching this story, I suddenly realized something. We always think that meaning is some endpoint, some goal, something, but actually meaning is never at the endpoint. It's on the journey. The blonde adventurer didn't reach the other side, but does that mean his life was meaningless? On the contrary, every day of his existence was creating meaning. Every swing of his hammer, every rope he tied, every mockery he endured left a mark on this world. His meaning was not in what he gained, but in what he gave. In psychology, there is a concept called existential anxiety, which refers to the innate human fear of meaninglessness. We work hard, earn money, and chase after things, essentially to prove that our existence is valuable. But we got the direction wrong. Meaning is not found, it is lived. It hides in the moment you help a stranger, in the meal you share with your family, in your attitude towards every ordinary day. So stop asking what the meaning of life is. Go do something that makes your blood boil. Meet someone who captivates you. Try a challenge others say you can't achieve, and then you'll find that meaning doesn't need to be sought. It's always been there. If you're currently feeling confused and doubting the value of your existence, share this video with friends who are just as confused. Perhaps this is the most meaningful thing you can do today. 請我話俾我，再次打電話要明白。